This year, our city embarked on a partnership with our associates in state and federal law enforcement to make our capital city a more safe place. And since January, Project Safe Neighborhoods has been an active and really collaborative effort that I am pleased to say has yielded some important results for our capital city. I want to thank the U.S. Attorney's Office, the U.S. Marshal's Office, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, and the Utah Department of Public Safety and the Sheriff's Department for your willingness to bring resources to this endeavor. Citywide, our year-over-year overall crime rate in Salt Lake City is down 1.7%. This is something that we are definitely encouraged by, but still not satisfied. And so we're keeping on. Salt Lakers deserve to feel safe in our city, and I'm committed to that need, and Project Safe Neighborhoods is one of the many creative approaches that we're engaged in that is targeting criminal activity at the felony level. And in this case, that targeted activity repeatedly being committed by certain apex criminals in our community. As we near the 1 year mark of this partnership initiative, we have gotten sizable amounts of drugs off of our streets, and many criminals have been charged. But there's one component that I want to draw your attention to before these partners of ours drill down on the report. With a focus on reducing violent crime in Salt Lake City, I am very encouraged that this work has taken 124 guns off of our city streets, many of which were in the hands of restricted individuals who've been restricted from having one. Over half of the 152 defendants charged this year through this partnership were charged with illegal firearm possession. That's less guns in our city and fewer people in possession of a gun who are looking for criminal activity. Thank you. Thank you to your teams. Thank you for your dedication, and thank you to Salt Lake City's police officers who have worked in partnership with these federal and state partners over the last year. The Project Safe Neighborhoods effort is working, and it's making a real tangible difference in Salt Lake City. To our residents, to our business owners, our visitors to this city, there is really no finish line to our work. As our city continues to grow and evolve, as the capital city for the fastest growing state in the nation, we're going to continue to grow our efforts to address crime right alongside our population growth. And as your mayor, I'm continually committed to finding new ways, creative solutions, and whatever approach we need to do to make our city streets safer for you. Next, you're going to hear from Salt Lake City Police Chief Mike Brown, followed by Acting U.S. Attorney Andrea Martinez, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive Assistant Special Agent in Charge Bradley Engelbert, and Acting U.S. Marshal Brandon Holt. Chief Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. The people here today are committed to reducing violent crime. They represent teams of women and men who are bringing solutions every day to address the most pressing violent crime issues in our community. And for that, I want to thank them. Thank you, all of you, and especially your teams. As a police chief, my number one priority is to ensure the safety of our community. Our officers do that every day, and for that, I want to thank them. There is an urgent need to stop gun violence. We need to change the attitudes and perceptions of people who are willing to use firearms as a form of conflict resolution. We have seen over and over arguments and fights escalate into shots fired and sadly murder. As a community and as a nation, we cannot let gun violence become normalized. We cannot let gun violence be an acceptable means of conflict resolution. All of us have a part in making that change. On the law enforcement side of things, our promise is we will continue to investigate, to arrest, and prosecute those engaged in gun violence and gun crimes. Because of our partnership with Project Safe Neighborhoods, we are taking illegal guns off the street, just like the mayor talked about. For example, September 12th this year, as people gathered on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, a witness heard somebody yell out, "Gun!" Just moments later, a mom turned around and saw a young man pointing a gun into the crowd at Liberty Park. Remarkably, there were no injuries despite the fact that Liberty Park on that afternoon was crowded with families enjoying the evening. Because of the fast response, and it was a fast response of our officers, we safely took the suspect into custody and recovered the firearm and ammunition. During the investigation, we learned that the person who shot into the crowd was on felony probation, and get this, was wearing an ankle monitor, making him a Category 1 restricted person. The suspect in this case was federally indicted on September 22nd for a felon in possession of a firearm and ammunition. On August 10th, one of our officers had their patrol car rammed by a suspect trying to flee officers. Luckily, the officer was not hurt, but the investigation revealed that the suspect was driving a stolen vehicle, had in their possession an H&K 40mm handgun, was also in possession of marijuana, meth, other people's financial cards, and medical prescriptions. Because of the commitment and these partnerships, this person was federally indicted for possession of a firearm and possession of methamphetamine. Both of these cases are part of this Project Safe neighborhood effort. Because of the partnership, we have seized 124 guns. In October alone, department-wide, we have seized 35 firearms. This includes pistols, rifles, shotguns. These are guns that have been used in crimes or have been in the hands of people that should not have these guns. Getting these guns off the street is important. The other day, our officers seized 3 more handguns and a rifle as part of an aggravated assault. It goes back to my point earlier. We need a culture change. We cannot allow gun violence to become normalized in Salt Lake City or in this nation. The Salt Lake City Police Department is committed to keeping our city safe, and we will be doing that through our ongoing partnerships with our local, state, and federal partners. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor Mendenhall and Chief Brown, for having us here today. It's an honor to be back here with our partners, reflecting on the strengths of our partnerships in Salt Lake City and our combined commitment to keep the greater Salt Lake City safe from violent criminals. The Department of Justice Project Safe Neighborhoods program is doing just what it is intended to do in Utah. We are leveraging partnerships on the local, state, and federal levels, combined with the power of federal prosecution to show law-abiding and non-law-abiding citizens that we are committed to making a difference and to holding violent criminals accountable. I am very proud of the work that we have all accomplished to this date. However, there are still some concerning portions of data which should cause us all to reflect on our violent crime issues in Utah. 60 of these defendants have already been convicted of a crime and were back on the street on probation or parole. 29 of these defendants have gang affiliation. 81 of these defendants illegally possessed a firearm, and 37 of these defendants were trafficking illegal narcotics. And far and away, the narcotic of choice is methamphetamine. This is a snapshot of the defendants we've prosecuted. Unfortunately, represents an accurate picture of the crime problems affecting our cities and our state, and highlights the need for continued law enforcement partnerships on every level to solve the violent crime problem in our state. There is no place for illegal firearms and violent crime in the state of Utah. We remain committed to Salt Lake City, as we are to the rest of Utah, to using our federal powers to keep communities safe and improve the quality of life statewide. I want to thank our local, state, and federal partners for being here today and for the commitment and dedication you and your agency and your agents have given to our PSN initiative here in Salt Lake. It takes these partnerships for us to be successful and to meet our mission. Mayor Mendenhall, Chief Brown, Commissioner Anderson, who could not be here with us today, Acting United States Marshal Holt, ETF Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Brad Engelbert, and Sheriff Rivera, who also could not be here today. Thank you very much for your partnerships. I am going to now turn over the time to ATF Special Agent Brad Engelbert.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Mayor, Chief, thank you for hosting us today, and thank you for the continued hard efforts by the PD and all of your staff in the city for the Project Safe Neighborhood initiative. A lot of stats have been thrown out already today. 152 defendants, over 50% of them have been charged with some type of federal gun crime. 124 firearms seized. 31 of those have been previously reported as stolen. And I think what this really boils down to, we can look at the numbers, but what we're really talking about is a collaborative effort across all levels of government to address the violent crime in Salt Lake City. And I think this is an example of how law enforcement and how the community should work together to reduce violent crime. And ATF is very happy and very proud to be a partner in this initiative. We really enjoy the trust and confidence of the United States Attorney's Office with bringing the cases for their prosecution. And we feel that this is policing at its best, when we can all come together and accomplish a common goal for the common good of the community that we serve. And we're very happy and very proud to be a part of that. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor, Chief, for leading this initiative. As you can see from all these agencies here today, that the success depends on this collaboration. All of us have touched on it today. You're talking federal, state, and local officers, special agents, deputies, and prosecutors all working together, utilizing the skills that each of our agencies can bring to this initiative. The Marshal Service supports these initiatives and stands ready to continue our support to the city. We live here, our families live here, we all want to remain safe. I also just want to mention some of the accolades that get forgotten is it's Chief Brown's officers who are making oftentimes those are first initial contacts with these people with these weapons. These are restricted people. They shouldn't have a gun. And hopefully they're contacted before they're able to use those weapons against the innocent civilians in our community. But I also ask you just to imagine these contacts that his officers are having every day. These are dangerous encounters they're facing, and they're handling these situations by following their training, trusting their experience, and acting in a professional and safe manner. I also just want to quickly acknowledge all the members of our task force, VFAST, that when these warrants get pushed to us, we're able to utilize officers from all over the state to help bring these people to justice. The reality is, whether we arrest an armed fugitive here in Salt Lake City or Ogden or St. George, a potential assault or worse is likely prevented, perhaps in another part of the state. But a safer Salt Lake City is a safer Utah. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you. We're able to take a couple questions if there are any.
You said crime overall in the city is down, which is great, but we heard there's another suspicious death in the ballpark neighborhood last night. We've heard concerns from residents. Is there anything being done to specifically address and curb crime in that neighborhood?
Yes. So that death is under investigation right now. I understand there's an autopsy being performed, and we'll hope to have an update on that shortly. A couple of things from the crime control plan that Chief Brown and I unveiled last week. One is the Violent Crime Task Force that utilizes some Department of Justice dollars to hire 10 additional police officers to create this task force. It's really the first growth in our department numbers we've seen in several years, and they would be able to specialize in this increase in homicides and other aggravated assaults and things that are happening in Salt Lake City. I want to note that compared to this time last year, our violent crime is lower, but it is still far higher than any of us want to see. In addition to that, to the ballpark neighborhood specifically, we're working with the Downtown Alliance through the Downtown Ambassador program that we fund to do an expansion of the Downtown Ambassadors into the ballpark area to create more of that persistent positive presence that we know is making a great difference in the central business district and along North Temple corridor where we expanded them earlier this year in the spring. So a couple of initiatives in addition to the deep infrastructure investment that we announced a week ago Monday through the ballpark station area plan. We know that in areas like State Street corridor and North Temple corridor, where for decades really there has been a climate of crime that has persisted in these areas, it absolutely means fundamental public safety needs being met, but it also takes something much more than that in terms of infrastructure and assets that allow a community to thrive. So the ballpark has a lot coming at it. Public safety is a big component of that.
And with revitalizing ballpark, do you think if you build it, they will come, or will crime be a barrier in drawing more people into that community?
No, the kind of investments we're talking about making are community-directed ones. We have done a lot of community engagement through the station area plan and the redevelopment project area plan, listening to those community members about what they need to not only stay and thrive in the neighborhood, but to create opportunities for the density that's growing there to be a vibrant, safe, thriving community. So investments like the library, potentially the healthcare clinics, fresh food access, and those kind of assets are what the community are drawing in. And we know that those are the kind of assets that stabilize communities and create greater opportunities for positive growth, because that's what we see play out here locally and all across the nation as well. Right?
The success that you're seeing today begs the question, why weren't we leveraging these relationships last year? And what is it really about those relationships that has created the change?
Well, I'll let our partners talk about the leverage of the relationships and really the tools and assets they have. But I want to also, before I hand that over, contextualize that Salt Lake City is not unique in the increase in violent crime that we have seen over the course of 2020 and through 2021. There have been numerous studies across the nation with medium and larger sized cities really showing a consistent increase in this nation, even through 21, aside from 2020, in violent crime activity. So uniquely, when we look at it from a historic perspective, it's not an overall increase in crime that the nation is seeing. There's a bifurcation there where violent crimes and even property crimes have increased across the country, while other types of crime have been on an overall decline. Salt Lake City matches with what's been happening nationally. So with the overall decrease in crime that we're experiencing right now in the city, thanks to the efforts that we've been putting in place through our crime control plan, we're going in a better direction than a lot of other cities in this nation are, where we've been on track with them in the past 18 months. But we're, as I said, not satisfied yet, and grateful that these partners at the state and federal level who have resources that we do not have as a municipality to not only process the types of crimes that they are committing, but to hold them in ways that our police department, through our normal jail situation, really have been unable to hold. But I'll let them get into details.
Thank you. Jed, just real quick, these have been our partners for years and years and years and decades, so it's not a new relationship. What we did is we focused. We brought the team together, we brought our agencies together, and we focused what we could leverage together as a team and what we could accomplish. As you remember, we talked about when we rolled it out, there was a conversation about Ogden, what they accomplished by making a box and say, if you're caught within the box, we're going to put these resources on you to prosecute you. Well, we decided down here in Salt Lake City, there isn't a box. There are no boundaries. There's no jurisdictional boundaries there. So we've done this citywide. And a lot of times these crimes that we're working on take us outside the city as well. So these are not new relationships. We've kind of breathed life back in them and focused our efforts on working together to really amplify the net gain in what we're trying to do in violent crime.
Chief, go ahead. If you want to.
Andrea, you want to?
Yeah, if you want to answer this question.
And I just want to further reiterate what Chief Brown has indicated. These aren't new partnerships. We just came together at the end of last year to determine how can we focus to help improve our communities and to keep them safe. So that has been our overall goal, is strengthening our partnerships and continuing the work that we have already been doing, but making, focusing on where we need to make some improvements.
This is for anybody, but Chief and Mayor specifically. If you were to speak to members of the community that may be scared in their homes or maybe scared to walk their communities right now, maybe they are seeing a difference in seeing crime start to go away, but they still are apprehensive about their neighborhoods. What's your message to the people out there? If you could speak directly to them, what would you say?
Yeah, I'll start, sure. I would say that your safety is paramount to this organization and is my number one priority. We've worked really hard over the last 18 months despite numerous different setbacks within law enforcement. But I'm very proud of where this organization has come. Despite those things, seeing a 1.7% drop in overall crime is a huge accomplishment for this organization. So what I would say, be our partners, be our ears and eyes. Call us when you need help. Call us if you see something suspicious. Don't think somebody else is going to make that call. Be engaged in your community and let us know what you see and hear so that we can respond. You're our very best partners in reducing crime, and especially violent crime.
I'll add that public safety is not only paramount to Police Chief Mike Brown, but that is the most fundamental, basic duty of any city. And it is absolutely my driving directive as the mayor to make sure that our residents are getting the service that they need and that this capital city demands. And when I talk with our officers and meet with officers one-on-one and go to a lineup, they desperately want to serve our residents the way that this capital city needs them to. Regrowing our staffing faster than any other department in this state is one of the ways that we're improving our call response time, which has come down dramatically in the last couple of months, and increasing our numbers of our police department. So please, as Chief Brown said, call and report incidents of crime that you experience, because we need that data. We need it to be able to deploy officers appropriately, and your calls do not go unnoticed. They are absolutely tracked, and we are responding to the calls that way. Also, become involved in your community council. If you're a resident here and you want to have more frequent updates or connection, every district in this city has a fantastic detective assigned to them. That's a single phone number, one person that you can connect with as a resident in this city to have questions answered and be connected with the data that Chief said earlier we're tracking on a day-to-day basis. So we're here for you. We want to serve you. It's our fundamental duty as a city. And I'm heartened to see that we're going in a better direction now, but we're not done. Anybody else? Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.